The special stages in Mario Sunshine are kind of weird. I know that the special stages are oftentimes considered the best part of Mario Sunshine, with fans praising them as the best platforming found in any 3D Mario game. It is kind of funny that Sunshine's whole gimmick was Fludd, and the best stages for many people are the ones that don't involve him. Even I as a kid liked the secret stages more because I felt that Fludd made platforming too easy because of the hover nozzle. It can easily get you out of trouble, which kind of defeats the point of platforming in a Mario game. Some people may not realize that Mario Sunshine's special stages actually paved the way for Mario Galaxy, which is my favorite 3D Mario game. They even added a galaxy that was clearly inspired by the special stages of Sunshine. So if I liked the special stages so much as a kid, what's so different now? I never actually beat Sunshine when I originally had it on the GameCube, and only recently did I beat it thanks to the 3D collection on Switch. Now with a greater understanding of Sunshine's moves and physics, these secret stages clearly are flawed despite still being fun. Starting with the obvious, Sunshine was made with Fludd in mind. Sure, Fludd can make platforming too easy as you can just somersault into a hover, which is the solution for practically every problem in this game. But the important part to know is that Fludd wasn't just given to Mario alone. Adding Fludd came with a robust physics system that feeds into the dynamic water and movement of Mario Sunshine. In fact, Mario Sunshine is so unique because it's the only 3D Mario game with this level of physics, as every other 3D Mario game really resembles the stiff but precise feeling of Mario 64. Just to prove to you that I'm not crazy, just look at the somersault in each game. To do a somersault, you have to run forward, then move your analog stick in the opposite direction or in a U shape, both will work, and then Mario will do a sliding animation. When you see the dust kick up from his shoes, if you press the jump button, then you know you'll do a somersault. All 3D Mario games seem to work exactly the same when it comes to this. Once you see that dust kick up, you know you could do a somersault if you jump, and it's easy to read and then know when to press the button. Now let's look at Sunshine. Notice the crackhead-like movement and jerking that Mario's doing here. See, I know you're saying, well, you're just doing that with your controller, but it's the point that I can do this. You can't do this in any other Mario game because no other Mario game has this level of speed and jittery movement. You can't even tell what's happening on the screen. And even if you tried to do this in other games, sure, in Galaxy, I sorta kinda got it to work, but it's really not consistent. Mario will kinda just turn around and do a normal jump rather than do a somersault. The point is, Sunshine was built with a faster Mario packed with very sensitive physics that are designed around you using Fludd. So what happens when the developers decide, let's make some cool levels that remove Fludd and place Mario into some traditional platforming courses full of death pits, big leaps of faith, and some of the most accurate moving platforms found in any video game? Well, you get this. Yeah, see, these special stages may be fondly remembered, but damn, can they be frustrating? And I don't really think people focus so much on the annoying parts when they think about Sunshine. I'm not even going to touch on the stage that shall not be mentioned. Bringing how bad this trash is would be too easy, so I'll just save that for later. Now, where to begin? Well, I suppose we could start with the camera. Sunshine was the first 3D Mario game with a fully controllable camera, unlike Mario 64. You honestly don't need to manipulate the camera all that much when you're playing the stages with Fludd, but this game overall is known for having a bad camera, and in stages surrounded by empty voids of death, seeing where you walk and land is kind of important, so the camera being bad is not good. The camera is so bad at times that I wish Mario had like a reticule below his feet so I'll know where I'm going to land when I jump. There are these nails in these special stages that if you stomp on them, you'll normally get a 1-up. And this is a great example of why a reticule would be helpful. I suppose what they wanted you to do is use his shadow so you'll know exactly when you need to butt stomp, but because his shadow is dynamic and not exactly going to be in the same place at all time like a reticule, it's difficult to know where you'll end up because the camera is always at some weird angle where you think you know where you'll land, but then you'll realize you're just slightly off to the left or to the right. And I don't know exactly why the camera works this way, but it's something about the perspective that gives you the illusion of being in the position you need to be in, but you end up realizing that you're ever so slightly off. And of course, the camera can also affect you running and jumping and just walking around, especially on these slippery platforms. I died so many times due to me thinking I was going to make it only for the camera to betray me. You might be just saying this is a skill issue and I should just, I don't know, use the camera, right? But this is the thing. In a lot of platforming games, the developers will actually manipulate the camera for you, giving you a sign that they already know what they're doing. So for example, you'll get to a certain part in a level and the camera will just pan out on its own. Typically, developers do this to let you know this is about where the camera should be so you can see what you need to do. So even when I take Nintendo's advice, it ends up backfiring on me because it wasn't good advice to begin with. It's not at a good vantage point for me to see anything clearly. Now let's get on to the physics. The physics are on full effect here, as the devs really push the physics system with these moving objects that Mario has to keep up with at the right speed to stay on them, especially when it gets to the harder levels. I gotta give Nintendo credit here for making these. It's actually really hard to have a controlled character accurately interact with moving objects, especially in a game this realistic to how Mario behaves with these steep angles. Even though I'm giving Nintendo their flowers for making these, it still pisses me off how often Mario can go flying off these objects. Like if you look at this, Mario seems like he's gonna make it over this edge only for him to just slide to his death. And the annoying part is that you really can't tell if Mario is going to walk over a hill or he's just going to slide down it. So you pretty much are rolling the dice. Then you have situations like these. I had to wall jump to get up here and clearly I collided with this edge, which typically Mario will grab onto or at the very least bump into and stop. But instead the game just pushed me over and flung me to hell. What makes Mario feel even harder to control in Sunshine compared to other games is because he feels like he has bacon grease stuck to the bottom of his shoes. The man is so slippery. Look at him fall off these steps. He just bounces on his own. I didn't press any buttons. He just bounced off to the void. And now look at this damn block. I could never get a feel to when I was going to slip or not. I had to just basically keep running forward and hope that he would stay on. And trust me, you can run over it and then slide off on the other side too. So it's really not easy to manage. Mario also can't keep his hands to himself because if you get even slightly close to a wall, he'll just grab hold of it, especially if you're dealing with a platform that may be falling down. He'll just get into a wall bounce position, which sometimes he'll wall bounce off of, which is still bad. I didn't want to do that. Or the game will just change the direction of his jump. So he'll do a normal jump, but he'll go slightly to the left or slightly to the right. It's really weird and it's probably just broken. Now let's get to the worst level in all of Mario Sunshine. It's probably the worst star mission in any 3D Mario as well. The damn Chucker stage. Now, unlike the other special stages, this isn't about testing your skills with platforming. It's kind of like a puzzle because you have to go up talking to these NPCs and they'll throw you across the map. You won't exactly know where they'll throw you at first. You have to do a little trial and error, but once you know which one's going to throw you at what distance or how high, then all you gotta do is just talk to the right one. But there is a catch. See, the way these work is that the way you talk to them matters. What I mean by that is you have to be standing at a certain position and that will determine the direction they throw you in. So for some reason, Nintendo thought, let's make a challenge where we test our player's skill at accurately pointing our camera in a certain direction, which it sounds odd and it could have worked if this camera wasn't the most sensitive camera in all of gaming. So to really break down how this dumbass level works, you have to first find the right NPC and talk to him. Then you have to hope that you were accurately standing in the right position, facing in the right direction, not slightly to the left or slightly to the right, because if you do that, they're going to throw you completely to that direction. If you want to go forward, you got to make sure you're looking at them straight ahead. And the best way to do this is to look at them in third person to accurately line it up. It took me forever to figure this out. I had to just die multiple times. I had to start over. I lost all my lives because I could never figure out how in the world, I couldn't figure out how do I just go forward. I wanted him to throw me straight ahead every time, to the left, to the right, off into the void, death every second. Even this one up that can kind of save you if you run out of them, I couldn't accurately line that up because I could never get a hang on how I'm supposed to do it until I realized if I go into third person and match Mario 1-to-1 in the right direction, then it would kind of sort of work every time, but not really. It still was inaccurate at times. And they knew that this level was trash because before getting here, they just throw up one-ups in your face. It's like constant one-ups on the way to the entrance of this level. So they knew this was a bad level and they put it out anyway. It's not fun. It's not interesting. I don't know why they made this. It doesn't do anything for anyone, and it's arguably the most hated part of Sunshine. Well, maybe the pachinko machine might be hated a little bit more, but people really hate this level, and I can't blame them. Now, even though I do like the special stages overall, It still doesn't change the fact that this game was designed with Fludd in mind, and all these issues in these special stages that I dealt with actually get solved once you realize you can go back to these special stages with Fludd. All the issues I pointed out can sort of be remedied because you have the hover nozzle. So even if the camera isn't that good in this game, if you jump and you realize, oh, I'm going to die, you could just use your hover nozzle and kind of just get back on the platform. Or if the game kind of pushes you in a direction you didn't expect, you can just use the hover nozzle to cancel out the fall animation normally, because sometimes that doesn't work, and you can end up landing safely. And because I didn't spend that much time with Mario Sunshine as a kid because I really wasn't into Fludd, I never knew these stages existed until I beat it recently. And now that I played the levels with Fludd, I actually like them better with Fludd, and I think that the levels are harder with the red coin challenges that come with Fludd being in special stages, because now you have a clock you got to race against. So not only are all my issues fixed, I still felt I was getting a challenge through platforming, because there still is a lot of stuff you need to avoid, and you rushing against the clock can cause you to mess up just out of panic. So in a way, Fludd actually redeemed itself through these special stages. These special stages probably should have just had Fludd to begin with, and we would have probably never had these issues. But that chucker stage, you could just throw that in the trash, Nintendo. That should have never been made. That was bad. Don't do that ever again. This is why it's so cool to revisit games from your past. My favorite part of Sunshine, because I really didn't like Fludd as a kid, were these special stages without him. Only for me to realize as an adult, Fludd wasn't bad at all. Still kind of prefer Mario games without Fludd, but they actually did a good job of making a game surrounded by this gimmick. And the stages without him, although still fun, they have so many issues because the game just wasn't made with Mario without Fludd in mind. Then when it comes to these special stages just as levels, I will give it to Nintendo. These are still some of the best examples of a 3D Mario game when it comes to platforming. And if Nintendo just would have stuck to the physics of Sunshine for the future titles and iron out the camera and Mario's slippery ass shoes, I feel we could have had more challenging 3D Mario platforming games than we do now. Cause as of now, it feels like the speed and the physics of Mario has regressed. Now, Nintendo clearly did take from these special stages when it came to level design, especially if you look at a game like Mario Galaxy and even 3D World. But they didn't bring along the physics and speed. They just went back to Mario 64. And you can't really blame Nintendo for doing that. I mean, hell, they went back to the mechanics of a game considered to be one of the greatest games of all time. But what they could have achieved if Nintendo stuck to what they built with Sunshine is haunting me after beating it. All the issues I complained about really only exist because Fluddless Mario was an afterthought. If Fludd wasn't in the game, I'm positive Nintendo would have tinkered a bit with these issues and they would have never existed to begin with. Sunshine special stages may have their issues, but overall, they are still an important part of Sunshine as a game and the Mario franchise as a whole. The lessons learned from the special stages actually can be found in every 3D Mario game after Sunshine, so we can't deny that they were important to the series. But this chucker stage, this Nintendo should have never done, and thankfully, they never tried it again. This was garbage. Yo.